Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Super Metroid Weekly Race. Tonight we are going back to the first category we did when we started this, and that is any percent. So looking at the runners here, top left we have Kip. He has a any percent PB of 4640, which is with the old route, although he did say he's going to be doing some new route tonight, so kind of a wild card. Not sure what we'll see, but he's got really nice times across all the categories, including low percent, which is very similar to new route. So I think we're going to see a pretty strong performance from him. In the top right, we have Quarty, any percent PB of 4555, which he actually just got yesterday and has been going for a 45 for a while now. So Quarty's been on top of his game lately, so I think him and Kip are gonna have a pretty close match here. Now looking on the bottom, on the left we have Toasty Muffins, who is a pretty new runner to this game. He actually, I think he pretty much started right at the start of our last tournament, the multi-category tournament, and he learned a lot of different categories, and he spent a lot of time playing the randomizers. Doesn't actually have an any percent PB, so I guess we're going to see his first any percent run here, at least the first public one. And last but not least, bottom right corner, we have Ancient Gamer, who has an any percent PB of 5502, and he's been around for quite a while playing this game. He mostly likes to play the randomizers, so he's gotten pretty proficient with those, and he's been working on his any percent time quite a bit lately. So I expect Toasty and Ancient Gamer will probably also have a nice close race here. But like I said, Kip is going to be doing what we call new route, where you take out Phantoon first and then kind of work your way from the bottom up with the other bosses. And all the other runners here are going to be doing old route, where they take out Kraid first and then go to Phantoon and work on the rest of the bosses. So we'll see a little bit divergence with Kip, but we'll kind of be able to tell where he stands with the other runners at certain points. But anyways, they have already started, and they are on Ceres Station. Kind of a tricky segment. There's a bit of RNG with the way these tiles fall and all the steam that comes out. And it looks like Kip and Quarty both getting 45s, pretty respectable times, and Toasty and Ancient coming in just a few seconds after. So kind of as expected, Kip and Quarty, very seasoned players. They have very good times in this category, and both of them coming out series really fast. So like all Super Metroid categories, movement and execution of tricks is really important. But one thing about any percent in particular that's really important is ammo management. And we'll see throughout the run, these guys are going to require a certain amount of super missiles in order to open doors and also to take out bosses, and they'll also need a certain amount of power bombs so they can open doors and break power bomb blocks. So a big part of this run is knowing how much ammo you need and seeing how much you have and being willing to take risks, whether you want to skip farming some certain enemies. So we'll see what kind of decisions these guys make once we get a bit further and they have some ammunition. But for now, it's pretty much just basic movement. Yeah, the first 6 or 7 minutes or so looks the same in every category. They're going to come down here, grab Morph Ball, go get their first missile pack, go up to Bomb Torizo, which is a pretty short and sweet boss fight where they'll get bombs and be able to start progressing more in the game. Alright, now Kip and Quarty coming up the elevator, and Toasty and Ancient coming up right behind them. The planet is now awake, so they're going to have some enemies in their path through these rooms that they just came through, so a little bit more tricky now. Coming up to the climb, this is kind of an interesting room. There's some different strategies you can do. As you can see, Kip, he's actually doing ledge grabs up all these middle platforms, whereas Quarty is actually just wall jumping up the right side. And they're pretty close in terms of time. I think the wall jumping might be a little faster if done right, but it's kind of up to the runner's preferences. And on the bottom, the same thing, Toasty, he's going for the ledge grabs, and Ancient is going for the wall jumps, so kind of interesting seeing what kind of strategies these guys are comfortable with. As above all else, that's the important thing about running this game, is finding a strat that's comfortable and consistent for you. And here comes the first boss fight, Bomb Torizo. It's a pretty simple fight. What they're going to do is they're going to kind of run towards Bomb Torizo here to push him back into the corner. Shoot 5 shots on him. Farm his little orbs that he shoots out to grab some missiles. And then they should be able to finish him off pretty quick. And it looks like both Kip and Quarty got kind of bad luck with the drop, so they couldn't quite get a 1 round, but both of them finishing up now. We'll see if Toasty and Ancient have a little bit better luck. Oh, and it looks like Toasty actually took some damage, so he didn't get as many missile drops. He got mostly health drops, but Ancient pretty much pulling off a perfect fight there. He got a bunch of missile drops, and he made sure he only grabbed some of them so he could refill after shooting them. And he got out of there pretty quick. Now, if you watch Kip and Quarty really quick, they're going to approach this next room a little bit differently. Kip is going to be destroying these space pirates with his missiles, whereas Quarty is just going to be running through and taking the damage. And although what Quarty doing is a little bit faster, because Kip is going to Phantoon first, it's a really tough boss fight without any suits and with only 1 energy tank. So even though it's a little slower to kill the pirates with the missiles, it's really beneficial to just conserve as much energy as you can until you get to wreck ship in order to not risk a death at Phantoon, because even for the most experienced players, it happens. And yeah, we see Ancient doing the same thing, just running through. So typically, that's when you can kind of tell if someone's going to be doing new route or old route, whether they want to take the damage at the pirates or not. And it looks like Kip and Quarty having no problems getting the Mach Ball to the early supers, which is going to let them skip the Spore Spawn fight. Toasty also getting that Mach Ball, and Ancient coming up behind them soon. Now all the runners are going to be picking up Charge Beam. Without Charge Beam, you would need a lot of ammo to take out all these bosses, so it is a no-brainer grabbing it in a category like this. And they'll also be grabbing a few other beams to increase their damage output against those bosses. Both Kip and Quarty getting a nice D boost off of that Zila in order to get over that little column there in front of the gate. And at this point is where we're going to see some divergence between Kip and Quarty. So Kip is going to go up Red Tower and take out Phantoon, whereas Quarty is just going to go straight down here and go take out Kraid first. And Toasty, it looks like he actually wants to pick up the Spore Spawn supers. So he did an interesting trick where you align yourself in a very specific position in order for a super to go off the screen and hit a super block that normally blocks that door. And so he's going to have an extra super pack, which is pretty helpful. A lot of the bosses you can take out quickly with more supers, like Batwoon. It also just might be a comfort thing for him. Like going into Tori and having extra supers there can make sure that you don't get soft locked on Mother Brain 1. It's a very interesting call from Toasty. Right, Quarty heading into the Kraid boss fight. We'll see if he can get a quick kill, but pay attention to Kip really quick. I think he's going to go for CWJ here. Okay, looks like his jump was a little bit too early, so he can't do the CWJ, but he's going to use a diagonal bomb jump here as a backup in order to cross this moat. Oh, looks like Quarty got the Kraid quick kill. Very nicely done. And Kip is over the moat. Very nicely done. These other runners who are doing old route, when they come back to the spot, they're actually going to have speed booster. So they'll be able to shine spark over the moat there, and they won't have to do the CWJ or the bomb jump like Kip just did. Which is one of the things that makes new route pretty challenging. Although there's a lot more challenging segments to come for Kip. And now Ancient's coming up to his Kraid fight. We'll see if he can get a quick kill. And Quarty not going for the Kraid tank. So it seems like Quarty is going to be doing a 3-tank run. Normally, if you want to go with 4, you'll grab the Kraid tank, which Quarty just ran past. Which I guess doesn't surprise me, since Quarty is a really, really good time for old route, a high 45. So he feels pretty confident that he doesn't need any extra tanks in order to finish this. It looks like Ancient was successful with his Kraid quick kill. He's picking up his barrier suit. And now Kip is in the Phantoon fight. And it looks like it's going alright so far. He hasn't taken a lot of damage. He's getting some nice Dopplers in. He should be able to finish off this next round with another short Doppler and then using a super. He seems to be getting decently fast patterns, and yeah, there we go. So Kip, now done with Phantoon, one of the more tricky parts of this route. And we have Toasty coming into the Kraid fight now. Let's see if he gets the quick kill. And he does. Nicely done. All the runners having really nice boss fights so far. Alright, now Kip is going to be working his way towards a gravity suit, which is really the big benefit of coming to Phantoon early. The gravity suit is just so powerful in this game and is going to let him just go right into lower Norfair after picking up a couple more items to make it faster. Whereas Quarty, having his various suit, he's already in Norfair. He's going to grab the items that Kip is grabbing, but he's just going to go back up to Phantoon afterwards to take them out. And that's kind of where New Route saves time, is that it doesn't have to do that backtracking, coming to get these Norfair items, and then going back up to wreck ship to take out Phantoon. And Toasty and Ancient still pretty close. Ancient got a pretty decent lead after Toasty went and got those extra supers. But we'll see. There's still a lot of game left to play. And I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys have a close one. Alright, we got Ancient coming up into Bubble Mountain. This can also be a pretty tricky room. You need to do some wall jumps up there and kind of get around that cack attack. And he did a really smart strategy, actually, going into Morph Ball out of his last wall jump. If he would have got hit by the cack while he was morphed, it actually would have knocked him up instead of down. So he wouldn't waste any time falling back down at the bottom of Bubble Mountain. So very nice strat from him. And Toasty going in for the early Ice Beam. Typically in Old Route, you don't want to pick up Ice Beam until you've finished the first 3 bosses, and then you come and grab it on your way to Lower Norfair to get some extra damage output on Ridley. But Toasty seems to want it now. Ice Beam does give you a little bit of a damage boost, but it also freezes enemies before you're able to kill them, so it can, in some situations, require extra shots to kill enemies. But it's also very helpful in using enemies as platforms. And if some runners aren't really comfortable doing Red Tower with just wall jumps, the Ice Beam can help out a lot there. Now Kip is picking up the Spacer Beam, which Toasty also grabbed, but is another item you typically don't see in Old Route any percent. For Old Route, you're going to be picking up the Plasma Beam after you beat Dragon, but in New Route, it's actually not worth it to grab that beam. So you want to grab Spacer for the Ridley fight, and also the Mother Brain fight. Although it does less damage than the Plasma Beam, just because of kind of how far out of the way Plasma is for New Route, it makes Spacer worth it. So Kip is going to have considerably more difficult Ridley and Mother Brain fights compared to these guys, since they'll have Plasma once they reach those areas. Oh, okay, and it looks like Kip is actually going to do Kraid right now. In New Route, you actually save Kraid until after Lower Norfair, but doing Kraid now is a bit of a safety. For one thing, you can pick up the Various suit, which if you do a Gravity suit in order to enter Lower Norfair, you lose a little bit less energy because you need to take off the Gravity suit to perform that trick, and the Acid doesn't hurt you as much when you have Barrier on compared to no suits. And the other benefit is you can grab the Kraid tank on his way into Lower Norfair, which just makes it a lot less scary, and it's a bit more difficult to die with an extra tank. So I like that call from Kip. I know he hasn't done a ton of New Route lately, but like I said, he has done low ice, so he should be comfortable in Lower Norfair, but it's not a bad idea to play it safe during a race. And we're going to have Quarty coming up to the Phantoon fight soon. Now, because Quarty has some extra equipment here, he's going to be able to do some different strategies. We saw Kip doing Dopplers, which is pretty much spamming a bunch of missiles as you run into Phantoon. But Quarty actually has the Wave Beam, which lets him do a technique we call the X Factor, which is a special beam attack you can do by using a Power Bomb and having the Charge Beam and Wave Beam activated. So when Phantoon opens up here, oh, okay, didn't quite get it. What he wants to do is jump into Phantoon, shoot him with a charge shot, and then he's going to charge up that X Factor, and Phantoon is going to collide with Quarty right as he... didn't quite get it there either. But these 4 purple wave particles all come together in a X pattern, and they hit Phantoon for 1200 damage, which is about half of his health. And it's, I don't know if it's an easier strategy than Doppler, but it's a pretty good one, and it's pretty reliable once you practice it enough. And I think he's gonna finish off with a Doppler actually, which is a pretty good idea to save on a power bomb. Ooh, and he is at 13 energy. He's gonna have to be careful here. He's 1 hit away from death. But he did get a lot of health drops there due to being in health bomb range, so he should be okay now. And yeah, he's got Phantoon down. Very nice adaptation from Quarty. And while I was watching Quarty, Toasty actually coming down to Crocomire. So he's going to grab that E-Tank, and I think he's going to grab Grapple as well. So Toasty taking a very interesting route. I think it's like randomizer inspired. I know he's a big fan of Crocomire too, so I think he just really wanted to show off Croc in this race. But as for Ancient Gamer, he does not want to go see Croc, so he just made his way back up to Red Tower, and we'll get to see him shine Spark across the moat and then go take care of Phantoon. Wow, Quarty did a really cool attic strat there, called the Street Sweeper, where he used some ammo to take out some enemies, and then used his speed booster to get the blue echoes, which do a lot of damage to the enemies. Ancient getting his spark across the ocean, or across the moat rather. Now he's going to do his spark across the ocean. And it looks like he's got a good amount of energy, so he should be pretty good for Phantoon. So comparing new route and old route, kind of a rough checkpoint for those 2 routes is when the old route runner picks up gravity and the new route runner hits the lower Norfair elevator. So looking at Kip and Quarty right now, well, you know, normally that's a good comparison, but Kip also went and did Kraid first. So a little bit hard to tell, but Quarty getting gravity before Kip goes into lower Norfair. Considering that Kip did Kraid earlier, I would say they're pretty close right now. Definitely within like a minute, and probably much less than that. Oh, and unfortunately, Ancient used a super on Phantoon, but it did not kill Phantoon, so he is entering in an enraged phase where he just kind of sits on top of the screen and just sends waves of flames at you. Usually that's something you want to avoid, unless you're worried about dying and you just want to play it safe. Um, but Ancient should be pretty close to killing Phantoon now after all the missiles and that super that he... Ooh, and a very nice X Factor from Ancient. He let Phantoon come off the screen, and as he came back on, the X Factor went off, and all the particles would have hit, but it looked like he only needed a couple of them to finish off Phantoon. So nicely done. And Toasty, he's in Lower Norfair. He's doing a really interesting route. So I see why he picked up Spacer and Ice now, because he's gonna want all that extra firepower when he goes in to fight Ridley, and he's gonna pick up Screw Attack too. Toasty is he's just grabbing everything, man. I love it though. So now we have Kip entering arguably the toughest section of this route for him. When you come here in Old Route, you have a lot better equipment. You have Space Jump, which just makes traversing this area a lot easier, and you also have Plasma, which can take out the enemies very quickly, and also you can hitbox them and kind of utilize their iframes in order to not get hit. And in this room in particular, normally you could just Space Jump up to the top after you break those blocks, but Kip does not have that luxury, and he went for a pretty difficult strat, laying a power bomb up top and then using the invulnerability to just wall jump through the enemies, but unfortunately it didn't work out, so he had to kill some of them with supers and then kind of safely just go up there. That's called the worst room in the game, and it's for a very good reason, because of situations like that. But it is not over for Kip. He has a lot more difficult rooms to go with enemies that hit really hard, and Qwerty going for full halfy. Nicely done. That's a pretty tight trick where you charge up a Shine Spark on the bottom of that room, do a bunch of wall jumps to get up top, do a nice clean down grab, and run through the door to pull a spark off with barely enough time. And Ancient now picking up his gravity suit, so he'll be ready to go into Meridian now where Qwerty's at. And Toasty on his way to Ridley, taking a save. Not a bad call. Ridley is a tough fight with the beams and the suit that he has right now. And Qwerty, ooh, almost got a 2-round there, but still manages to finish off Dragon with a Shine Spark, which will grant him a blue suit, which pretty much allows him to use a Shine Spark wherever he wants without having to charge it. The only bad thing about it is he can't run, or else he's going to lose that. So he's going to take this blue suit up a couple rooms ahead, and he's going to use it to cross back the room that he did the full half in. And we have Kip in his Ridley fight. It looks like he's used up all of his ammo, and he's just pumping in more charge shots, and based on Ridley's color, it looks like he's pretty close to death. And Kip's still with a good amount of energy, so it's looking pretty good for him. Alright, Ridley is down for Kip. And is Cordy? No, okay, I thought maybe he was going for Plasma Spark, but didn't look like it. And now Kip taking off his Spacer Beam and his Ice Beam, so he only has Wave activated. This is so when he gets to Meridia, he can use those X Factors to take out Batoon and Dragon, much like we saw Cordy do earlier. And Cordy now picking up his Plasma Beam, which is going to make his Ridley fight and Mother Brain fight a lot easier. Plasma Beam, with all the other beams you can equip with it, is 3 times more powerful than the equivalent with Spacer. So, yeah, it makes the fights a lot easier. And when you have a lot of energy, they really aren't scary, especially for runners of this caliber. And it looks like Toasty is in his Ridley fight now. So he has the same beams as Kip. So it's pretty much the same difficulty in that regard. But he only has Various Suit, which means he's going to take twice as much damage from any hit he takes from Ridley. But he also has Screw Attack, which means he can't get damaged by Ridley's body, but he can get damaged by his tail. Oh no, it looked like Ancient Gamer took a death. That is unfortunate. I didn't quite see where he was at, but I would guess it was Batoon or Dragon. Looking back at Kip now, though, it looks like his Lower Norfair escape has been going well. This is the last really tricky room here, 3 Musketeers. And it looks like he's manipulating the Key Hunters well, decided to damage boost off the second one, and he is out of there. So most of the difficult things in Kip's route are pretty much over now. Really the Mother Brain fight is the last kind of more difficult section compared to old route. And while I was watching Kip, Toasty is actually out of his Ridley fight now, so nice fight from him. It can be scary going into a fight like that with not the best beams and not having Gravity Suit, but he kept his composure very well. And we see Cordy taking the southern route to get into Lower Norfair. It's a little bit faster to go this way rather than taking the Frog Speedway, but it's a little more difficult to execute since you need to do some space jumps over in this next room. It looks like you got a good jump. Yeah, very nicely done. So now Kip needs to head over into Meridia and take out Batoon and Dragon, which Cordy has already done. But Cordy is going to head down and take out Ridley. And both of these guys will be heading to G4 after. Now, while Kip is a bit closer to G4 right now, because he only has Spacer, his Mother Brain fight is probably going to be 50 seconds or so slower than Cordy's. So it's a bit closer than it might look right now. But it's kinda, they really don't sync up until the Mother Brain 3 fight. So we really can't say for sure until we get there. But I think these guys are still pretty close right now. As for Toasty, I think his next move is going to be going up to Phantoon to get his Gravity Suit, which will make going through Meridia much easier. He actually has all the stuff he needs in order to do a suitless Meridia. Well, actually, he would need some more ammo, I think, or to go get X-ray so he can exit Dragon, but knowing him, I think he's just going to go get Gravity and make Meridia a little bit troublesome. A little bit less troublesome. Alright, we'll see if Kip can pull off the full halfie like Cordy did earlier. Nice wall jumps up there. Very clean down grab. I think he bonked the door, but he could still get it. Oh no, not quite. Looks like he ran out of time. That is a pretty difficult trick to pull off. There's a lot of ways that can go wrong. And Cordy entering his Ridley fight now. Compared to Kip's 60 shots, or 60 charge shots that he needed to beat Ridley, Cordy's only going to need 20. So this fight is over pretty quickly. You can see from Ridley's color already that he's about halfway dead, and this fight really only just got started. So the plasma beam just does so much damage to these bosses. And it looks like Kip is doing his Dragon fight. It looks like he had a nice opener. Very nice 2 in blue for Kip. Also getting his blue suit. And he's not even going to pick up the drops. He's just going to do a gravity jump right out of here. Because he's not going to be picking up space jump. His only way out of here would be doing a gravity jump there. He could bomb jump his way out, or he could go for a spike suit, and which is similar to a blue suit, but it allows him to use the dash button so he can do a running jump to get enough height up there. But he decides to go with the gravity jump, and he's going to use his blue suit, much like Corey did, to get back through this room much quicker. And Toasty with nice grapple strats across moat. So again, Kip and Cordy, both of them exiting their final bosses. Kip quite a bit closer to G4, but Cordy does have the advantage of having Plasma Beam. So although Kip may look quite a bit ahead right now, it's probably a bit closer than you might think. Alright, Toasty is now in his Phantoon fight, and he's got so many items for this fight. I don't expect him to have much trouble here. And it looks like he's pretty much just going to be doing Dopplers. It's, like I said earlier, it's kind of hard to say what's more difficult, Dopplers or the X Vectors, but seems to be going alright for him. Phantoon's looking pretty red. Ooh, he's even mixing some charge shots in there too. Alright, Kip entering G4 right around the 39-minute mark. Quarty about to be out of Meridia. I would say Quarty is going to be at G4 in a little bit over a minute, and considering Quarty's advantage with the plasma beam, these guys are definitely within 30 seconds. So a baby skip could be the difference in this run. Other than that, the Metroid rooms could give the runner some difficulty, although I wouldn't expect that really. Kip is actually pretty low on ammo right now, so he's probably going to be doing some grouping strats in the Metroid rooms in order to make sure he has enough ammunition for Mother Brain 1. So that's probably going to slow him down a little bit if Quarty does a little bit faster strategies that may not grab as much ammo. Ooh, after room 1, Kip's still only at 3 supers. That's a bit scary. He's gonna use some missiles in order to get some better drops, and he does get quite a few supers there, so it's looking much better for him. Ooh, he got a lot of drops off that last Metroid, so he's actually good to go now. 15 missiles and 10 super missiles is really the minimum you want to have leaving here. You can't afford to miss a shot with that count, but I think both of these guys have 20 missiles, so they're gonna have some leeway, assuming both of them fill up all their ammo in the Metroid rooms. So let's see if Kip can pull off the baby skip here. His first couple jumps are good. Now he's got to clear away all these vines. They're cleared for him. Very clean baby skip from Kip. Made it look easy, which it is not. And there we go, Quarty right there. Choosing not to do a grouping strat. Getting through that room just a little bit faster. Gaining a little bit of time on Kip there. Well, it looks like Quarty is a little bit low on supers. Is he just gonna go for it here? It looks like he's just gonna go for it. Let's hope he gets some supers. There we go, full ammo. Quarty's good to go. And it looks like Kip didn't get co-jacked at all. He got all his ammo in on Mother Brain 1, and he's moving on to the next phase of the fight. And again, because Kip does not have Plasma Beam, this fight is going to be quite a bit longer compared to Quarty's fight. Kip is going to have to do 60 charge shots, whereas Quarty only has to do 20. And Kip does have 5 energy tanks, so there's not much a threat of death here. If he takes too many attacks and maybe a catch-up, it could happen, but knowing Kip, this is a really safe amount of energy for him, and I don't really expect him to have any trouble. When it looked like Quarty not quite getting that baby skip. So the baby Metroid, if you don't get the baby skip, drains all of your energy, so you have to go over and use this refill room here in order to have enough energy to survive the Mother Brain fight. So unfortunate for Quarty, that's going to set him back quite a bit, and assuming Kip survives this fight, he will be the winner of this race. And it looks like Kip is in the last quarter of this fight. Oh my god, those catch-up beams. Should just need a couple more shots now. And Kip is good. Oh, okay, he remembered. He wants to damage himself down to 399 energy, or somewhere between 301 and 399. That way, it triggers this cutscene here, and Mother Brain doesn't have to damage you down in order to trigger the cutscene. So right as he finishes Mother Brain 2 and gets his cutscene started, 40 is now starting Mother Brain 2. And only going to be 20 charge shots. This is going to be a quick fight. Now, Cordy only has 3 energy tanks, so he can't afford to fall below 301. But because of the plasma beam, this fight is just so fast. You only see 2 catch-ups maybe. And yeah, he's done. So both of these runners should be finishing this run out now. And Toasty and Meridia just taking out Batwoon. Ooh, he's skipping the Batwoon tank. And it looks like he wants to farm up a little bit before he goes into Dragon. Alright, Kip and Mother Brain 3 now. He's got his Hyper Beam. All he has to do is just use it on Mother Brain 3. She's just devastated by this beam. And just like that, she is already down. And now Kip is just one escape sequence away from taking this race away. Ooh, and look at Toasty really quick. He's going to be going for the grapple beam kill on Dragon. I think we're going to see some fried shrimp here. Once Dragon pulls Toasty close enough to one of these broken turrets, he can use his grapple beam and just electrify Dragon. And take her out in just moments. This is not something we normally get to see in any percent. I'm glad Toasty's showing it off. Look at that fried shrimp. And it looks like Kip had a little trouble with the spark coming back up the climb, but manages to get another one. He is just 2 rooms away now. And it looks like Kip has finished with an official SRL time of 47:36. GG to Kip. And congratulations on winning this race. Very strong run. And now Cordy heading into the final moments of the escape. Successfully getting his spark off on the climb, now just working through the parlor and landing site to finish the game. And it looks like Cordy has finished with an official SRL time of 48 minutes and 23 seconds. GG to Cordy, and congratulations on second place in the race. Now it is worth noting that we do have some other racers in here that we did not feature, so I don't know where they are at. So one of them might come in soon with third place. We'll just have to wait and see. But it looks like Toasty is all done with his G4 bosses, and he's going to be moving on to Torian to finish the game here. Alright, Toasty coming into G4. And he actually didn't grab Plasma Beam. Dragon was his last boss, so it didn't really make much sense for him to go and grab Plasma. It was sort of out of the way for him. Much like how it is in New Route. So he's going to be using Spacer against Mother Brain, which, like Kip's fight, is going to take 60 charge shots. But he's also got 5 energy tanks, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Make sure you get some deer forces in the chat, both for our finishers, Kip and Quarty, and soon Toasty, once he gets through Torian here. Alright, Toasty coming up to the baby. We'll see what he decides to do here. He's been a little bit unpredictable this race. And it looks like he doesn't actually want to go for the baby skip, so he's going to intentionally damage himself down off of this side hopper, so that when the baby grabs him, it doesn't take as long to drain all of his energy. And yep, he's just gonna let the baby grab him. And he'll be also using the refill as Quarty did. Toasty has 15 missiles and 12 super missiles. As I said earlier, 15 and 10 is the minimum you need at this point. So he can afford to miss 2 super missiles or 6 regular missiles. So hopefully we won't see a soft lock here. But as long as he carefully places his missiles, he should be okay. Ooh, and Toasty taking a save. Just want to be extra sure that he doesn't have to forfeit this one. And Toasty taking off the screw attack here in order to perform the Zeb skip. This trick works by having iframes and jumping onto that frozen Rinka in order to just jump through the Zebatites. But if you have screw attack on, it actually takes your iframes away, and so you can't jump through the Zeb. So you see a lot of runners, if they have screw attack at this point, take it off in order to do that Zeb skip. And it looks like no troubles with Mother Brain 1. Toasty just giving Mother Brain a little tickle with the tickle beam. And then we'll see him in his final fight here. Everyone, give Toasty your energy. One thing I didn't even notice is who was using Moonwalk in this race, and I'm pretty sure nobody else was except Toasty, but I might be wrong about that. But although Moonwalk lets you do moonfalls, another nice thing about it is in fights like this where you're kind of just sitting in a corner, you can sort of reposition yourself and move back while charging up the charge beam. As normally when you turn around while charging up a shot, it actually takes a little bit longer because the animation is interrupted. So Toasty making good use of that moonwalk in order to keep charging up his beam while he pushes himself in the corner. And it looks like he's in the catch-up phase already, so only 15 more shots and he is home free. And that is it. Mother Brain 2 is down for Toasty. He has damaged himself down to the right amount of energy. And he's going to finish this one. To be honest, Toasty, I don't think you needed the energy. You seem to do just fine with the energy you have. So at this time, as we wait for Toasty to start his next fight, make sure you follow these runners. I think all their Twitch handles are Kip, a real cutie, Toasty Muffins 5, and Ancient Gamer with the X's and underscores shown. All these guys are really great runners of this game, and really nice people too. They all have very, very nice streams. And they provide us with really cool races like this. Oh, and I wasn't even looking at the IRC chat, but Nin Toaster actually coming in third place with an official SRL time of 52:41. Unfortunately, we didn't get to watch his stream, but GG to him for taking third place in this race. And assuming that no one else is close to finishing, I think Toasty is going to come out in fourth place here. Oh, and just as I say that, Sir Lewis finishing with a 59-55. GG to him, another runner we unfortunately didn't get to showcase. But he is an avid any percent racer who shows up to a lot of these weekly races we have. So GG to Sir Lewis. And Toasty coming in within the official SRL time of 1 hour and 25 seconds, finishing in 5th place. GG, man. Very nice run, very interesting route, but still a very solid run. And I believe that is all the racers in this race. I think everyone else has forfeited. So that is pretty much it. So once again, GG to Kip, Cordy, and Toasty. All of them putting on a great show for us. And also GG to Ancient Gamer, who unfortunately took that death in Meridia. But still a very strong run from him up until that point. And don't forget, we do these weekly races every Friday at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. They're restreamed here on the Speed Gaming channels. We also do a 9 p.m. Any Percent weekly race on Fridays. And on the weekends, there's also more Any Percent and GT Classic races sometimes too. So if you ever want to participate, just check around in IRC at those times and come in and join. They're a lot of fun. So for next week, we're going to be going through all the other categories we've already shown on the Speed Gaming channels. And I believe we're going to be doing 100% next Friday. So make sure you tune into that. And then we'll have some GT Classic and Item Randomizer coming up in the following weeks as well. I think that's about it for me. So thanks again to all our runners for participating and letting us show off their streams here. And thank you all guys. Thank you guys for all watching. And we will see you next mission. Have a good night.